Hi, welcome to On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of several Tudor history books. Now today I'm taking you back to the reign of Queen Mary I. For on this day in Tudor history, the 1st of August 1556, a blind woman named Joan Waste was burnt in Derby for heresy after she refused to recant her Protestant faith. Let me tell you a bit more about this Protestant martyr. Martyrologist John Foxe writes of Joan, who he describes as a poor, honest, godly woman, being about 22 years of age at her burning. So therefore she was born in about 1534. And she was the daughter of barber William Waste, who was also a rope maker. Joan and her twin brother Roger were born in the parish of All Hallows in Derby, and Joan was blind from birth. Foxe recorded that from the age of 12 to 14, Joan had learnt to knit hosen and sleeves and was also able to help her father make ropes. Following her parents' death, she lived with her brother, and in the Protestant reign of King Edward VI, worshipped daily and became devout in her Reformed faith. Joan saved up for a New Testament and got a man named John Hurt, who was in the Common Hall prison in Derby for debt, to read it to her, which he did, a chapter daily. If he was unable to read it one day, she would ask another man, a clerk of the local parish church, to read to her, or she'd pay someone. The result of this, according to John Foxe, was that she was able not only to recite many chapters of the New Testament without book, but also could aptly impugn, by diverse places of scriptures, as well sin as such abuses in religion as then were too much in use in diverse and sundry persons. But then the Catholic Mary I came to the throne. Joan continued in her biblical education and refused to communicate in religion with those which taught contrary doctrine. Her religious zeal led to her being called before Ralph Barnes, Bishop of Derby, and his Chancellor, Dr. Draycott. The main charge laid against Joan was that she viewed the bread and wine of the sacrament as just a representation of Christ's body and blood, and did not believe that it was converted into his actual body and blood when blessed. Joan defended herself by stating that she believed what the Holy Scriptures taught her and what diverse learned men had preached, and that they believed in all conscience that what they taught was true. She also stated that she was willing to give up her life for her faith. The bishop, chancellor, and their men argued with her, stating their beliefs on the sacrament, but Joan stood firm in her faith and refused to recant. They then sentenced her as a heretic and delivered her to the bailiffs of All Hallows. After about 5 weeks, she was sentenced to be burnt for heresy and taken to the parish of All Saints. On the 1st of August 1556, Joan was taken to the Church of All Saints and placed before the pulpit to hear Dr. Draycott preach against her and her beliefs. He explained to the congregation that she was condemned for denying the blessing of the sacrament, and that not only was she blind in the eyes, but also blind in the eyes of her soul. He finished his sermon by saying that her body would shortly be burnt by fire, and that her soul would be burnt by everlasting fire. Here is how John Foxe concludes his section on Joan in his book. And so, with many terrible threats, he made an end of his sermon and commanded the bailiffs and those gentlemen to see her executed. And the sermon thus ended, eftsoons the blessed servant of God was carried away from the said church to a place called the Windmill Pit, near unto the said town, and holding the foresaid Roger Waste, her brother, by the hand, she prepared herself, and desired the people to pray with her, and said such prayers as she before had learnt, and cried upon Christ to have mercy upon her as long as life served. In this mean season, the said Dr. Draycott went to his inn for great sorrow of her death, and there laid him down and slept during all the time of her execution. And thus much of Joan Waste. What a sad end to a courageous and faithful young woman. Also on this day in history, the 1st of August 1555, Sir Edward Kelley, apothecary, alchemist and medium, was born in Worcester. Kelley was a fascinating man. He worked with Dr. John Dee, and the men believed that they communicated with angels. Kelley also claimed that he was an alchemist, and he wrote a treatise on the Philosopher's Stone. You can find out more about him in last year's video, and you'll find a link to that video in the description. Thank you for joining me. You can subscribe by clicking that subscribe button right there. You can hit the bell to be notified as these videos go live, and you can give me a like and leave me a comment. See you very soon. Bye bye.